Good morning, everyone. I pray you had a great, restful weekend. Of course, my air conditioner has come on. Welcome. Grab your business bestie, contractor's notebook, your favorite beverage, and join me for this morning's edition of Contractors Chatter. How are you doing this morning? I pray you got some rest, you enjoyed time with the family. I know I did. Kids were to the bouncy house and all that other stuff this weekend. And there's times when you just have to take rest and enjoy yourself so that you don't stress yourself out and burn yourself out. Because burnout is real. Stressing yourself out is real. Okay, I won't be before you this too long this morning. I just wanted to pick up a conversation. I said that I was going to talk about this morning. And something that I wanted to touch on, something that my mentor spoke about, but something that I see a lot, and that people get frustrated in the wait, and that frustration can lead you to mess up your results. Good morning. I couldn't see your name before it scrolled past. In business, especially in government contracting, there's a lot of waiting in the process, especially if you're going for the larger contracts. There's often a gap. You write the RFP, you write the proposal, and there's usually a 30, 60 days. Good morning, Butch. 30, 60-day gap between when you submit and when you hear a response. And oftentimes, waiting for that response is frustrating. I mean, it is frustrating. Waiting for somebody to tell you whether or not they're going to pick you, whether or not they're going to choose your response, whether or not your proposal was a hello beautiful or they deemed it well crafted enough to make you one of their awardees. Simply put, it is frustrating. However, what you do during that time can make or break your business. That is the preparation time. My mentor calls it the hallway period. And during what you do during that hallway period is critical. That is the time you get with your staff and you plot out how you're going to perform on the contract. That is when you do your training. That is when you're plotting and preparing to write to the next proposal. But the worst thing you can ever do is sit there and stew in your frustration. Does that make sense? If this makes sense or resonates with anybody else, share this amongst your neighbors. Share this amongst your network. Because most people get frustrated while waiting And it's in that frustration, you take some type of action or inaction that messes things up, and it actually takes you back 10, 12 steps. And then you're wondering why things didn't turn out the way you wanted them to. It's that waiting period that you need to continue to do the work, continue to take this training, continue to make connections, continuing to do things. And most people waste that time. They don't capitalize on that time. They think once they submit the RFP, that's it. That's all. No, it's that waiting period that you still need to do the work. There's still work to be done in the waiting time. I don't care if you're writing a government proposal or you're submitting to do work with another business. I don't care what it is. While you're waiting for the yes or the not yet, there's still work that you need to do. And whatever you do or don't do during that period of time will make or break your business. A lot of people come to the crossroad and they make a wrong turn. And oftentimes that wrong turn is that they make no turn. Hear me out, walk with me. People believe that because they do nothing, that's not making a turn. And if they do nothing, that's not making a decision. And that is making a decision. Inaction is the same thing as taking an action. Not making a decision is making a decision. It's all the same thing. What I'm saying is you have to utilize every moment. Deciding that time to rest, deciding that time to take action. Identifying new partners. Identifying what areas that you need to key up, that what areas you are weak in and need to either train up or fill in the gaps by making additional strategic partners. That is what you're doing during that waiting period. But often, people take the waiting period and they're roaming. They're not focused. They're allowing their frustrations to make their minds unfocused. And I know somebody's hearing this, whether you're listening it today, August 26th, or you're listening to this a year from today. It doesn't matter. Whenever you're listening to this, frustration will make you make irrational decisions. And irrational decisions will often undo strategic steps and strategic actions. And I don't want to see that for anybody in my community. So what I'm telling you to do is during this waiting period, one, breathe. Just take a step back and breathe. You submitted that proposal. You submitted that contract request. You submit whatever it is you submitted. You submitted that speaker request. Whatever it is. First, celebrate that you did the submission. Celebrate your wins. Secondly, take inventory. Good morning. Take inventory. What is it that you need to do next? Do you need to identify your next strategic partner? Do you need to identify a training that you need to do? Because as quiet as it kept, there was a time I obtained a position by saying I could do something that I didn't learn how to do by the time I obtained the position. Because there was something that I couldn't quite do, but guess what? I took time in the waiting to learn how to do it. I utilized my time to train up. Everybody has time to train up. People who are saying, I don't have time, are not effectively utilizing that time. People can tell you about all the ratchet TV, but always talking about they don't have time. So while you're in the waiting period, what are you doing with it? Is there somebody you need to be connecting with, getting in partnership with, getting in the room with, watching a new broadcast, watching a new podcast? My glasses are dirty, that's why I keep taking them on and off. Listening to a new podcast. Is there a new conference you need to be attending? And you're saying, I can't afford to attend. Well, then there's something that you need to be selling if you're in business. Or something you need to be figuring out you need to do away with if you're not, so that you can attend it, so that you can be in proximity. What do you need to be doing in the waiting period? That's what I came to talk to you about this morning, is maximizing the waiting period. There's a lot going on geopolitically that will affect us here in the U.S. before the end of the year. And what I want my community to be able to do is capitalize on it in a positive way. I had someone ask me about contracting disaster contracts. This is the time to get your business positioned for disaster contracting. You don't wait for the hurricane to hit to say, I want to do that contract. You have to get your business prepared and on the list so that when they hit, they know that you can even do the work. There are times they come looking for you, but they don't know to look for you if you don't make yourself available to be found. So while you're in the waiting period, are you somewhere you can be found? This is all things you can be doing while you're waiting. Are you on the right list? And if you're not, get on those lists. There are so many things you could be doing while you're waiting. And that's all I wanted to talk to you about this morning. Optimizing and maximizing your waiting period. Now, I'm going to check out what Congress is doing this morning, because they claim they're going to be passing legislation and some other things. I'm also going to stake out the presidential debate and report back to you guys on what I think from a business perspective. Keep weighing it out. I reported on the DNC, I reported on the RNC. I gave you my perspective. I analyzed both. I compared both. I gave you my perspective from a business standpoint, where I believe both candidates stand and how it will affect your business. I will drop this before I go. Anybody who has a humanitarian business, you do any type of humanitarian services, I would be getting my business on these national lists and international lists. I really would be doing that right now. And with that said, join me tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Contracting Chatter. This morning, I just wanted to talk to you about what to do in the waiting period. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our regular content, but I needed to get your minds right so that we can... Good morning, Moses. so that we can get on. But get your businesses on these international lists, especially if you do humanitarian aid work. If you do security services, get on those lists so that you can provide security services for those businesses. Because they're going to need security services going into certain areas. And with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Luciana Turner, your host for Contracting Chatter. Have an amazing morning.